Hi, everyone. I'm joined by Cathy Fang today. Hi, Cathy. Thanks for being here with us. Do you want to give a little intro of yourself for everyone?
For sure. My design journey started from industrial design. And after I got my industrial design graduate, I teach and design physical product design for 3 years. And after that, I continued my design study as in digital interactive design. And I achieved Master of Design degree from the OCAD University. And as a product designer for over more than 7 years, I have been working with different companies such as Manulife, Capital One, Rogers Communication, and now Autodesk as a lead designer and a senior product designer. I specialize in user interface and digital product platform design. I believe good design always starts from a good idea, but more critical is like a good planning and a good execution plan and strategy.
That's awesome. Thanks for that intro. Could you share a little more about how you got into your first product design job and where was that?
After I finished my Master of Design degree in OCAD, specialized in digital experience design, I start with Publixit as a freelance designer. The other one called Connor is a design agency in Mississauga.
I'm curious to understand some of the specific challenges that you would have had getting your first job in Canada. English wasn't your first language. Can you share a little bit more about some of those challenges that you faced?
Yes, there's a lot of challenge. Like first, as I mentioned, I'm not even start my high school study in Canada. So like more than 23 years, I speak Chinese in design. I think the first challenge I met is like when I doing a project in OCAD University, I have a lot of thought, but I don't know how to present my idea. And at that time, the biggest challenge is I have a fear to ask question. I just don't want the people know, would that be a dumb question? Would that be not right to ask? Should I supposed to know it when I get this job? And this type of fear is also in that design agency job. So when people challenge my design idea, I would think it's like a critical. It's like my design is not right.
How did you get over that fear of asking questions?
I have a very good mentor at that time. So I remember because I have that fear, I'm not sure if I'm doing exactly the right thing. And at that time, my mentor is just, hey, all the solution is nothing is wrong. Like all of them is right. But feel free to use your own judgment to tell me why you think one of them is the best. I think that mentor, from that, I start to think about it as, hey, I'm the designer. I have the education background. I've been design for industrial design already for 4 years at that time. So I started to talk about my thinking process and speak out loud in the front of the team. And when they ask the question, I prepared the answer for them. Then more time, it's just like never to fear about get something wrong. Just like I think the first icebreaker is start to defend your design. Do not have a fear if you don't feel you agree with the other feedback.
That's great. And thanks for sharing that. I think you mentioned a really good point about having a mentor. How did you find that mentor?
He hired me. And eventually when I work in another company, he became my director.
That's really amazing. And I think that sets a good example of where you can find your mentors. And I think you've continued that relationship.
Yeah, I think we need to be proactive. How I conquer the fear is just after mentor just tell me how you think. You are the designer. You can recommend your design. That is a big impact in my career. Like that word is like big impact in my career. From that, I just always, why not?
Yeah.
Like not everyone know everything. So I just like keep asking question and keep talk about my thinking process instead of just show the end result. I think
Yeah, I think this is like a really good takeaway because it is hard, especially when you're in a new job. Maybe English isn't your first language, and then you're also not sure if you're making the right decisions. And I think you were able to step out of your comfort zone with the encouragement from a mentor, and of course, the push that you took for yourself to actually step out of that comfort zone. I think it was through practice that you were able to get over that fear.
I feel like I'm not going to lose anything if I ask question. I'm not going to lose anything if I stand for my design solution. When I see other designer, even like at that time, even some senior designer, I start thinking about their design solution. I start asking and challenge them as well at the same time. Then it also can help myself. If like they are right, they can explain to me like why they're making that design decision. It also to help build my self-confidence because some of my question is like helping them as well. So yeah, just try it.
Yeah, it's kind of like training, like you're training to build that muscle. And not only did you step out of that comfort zone, you're now helping other people as well to get through that. How long did it actually take you to find your first job after you came here?
My first job after I graduate from the master degree, I think it takes 2 months after I graduate. And I think why they hire me at the first job because I taught myself Axure at that time. And I built a website by Axure by myself, which including a little bit like complex interaction because I have that skill and agency need that delivery. They need someone know that skill. I got the job from my skill. I was learning by myself. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
Like, what
months.
encouraged you to actually learn Axure?
Oh, that's a very interesting because I remember when I start my first job, I don't know what I should do because I start from industrial design background. So when I job searching, most of the job is not even a lot of UX design. It's interactive design, user interface design. So at that time, I just like, what does that mean? I just like trying to give myself a homework to design a website for a retail selling the hair and wig. And at that time, I just like proactive reach out to some front end developer. I say, I have these marks. I draw this. Like, could you help me to make it real?
Yeah.
So that type of conversation to help me to have some knowledge of the front end. I think that is also helped me to get the first job because when they're doing the interview with me, I also have some idea of like the limitation of the front end.
I think that's another takeaway for people because we come across so many jobs and then they list out all the skills that you need to know. Or sometimes you might look at it and think, I actually don't know this or I don't know that. But you can teach yourself it. That's exactly what you did because I think you found a knowledge gap and you actually dove into it, learned it really well, and showed people that you can build something with it. And I think that's what helps you get that first job.
Yeah, Pavi, maybe you have the same challenge. When you get your first job, you think yourself have to answer every question, have to know everything to get a job. No, which is like sometimes it's not necessary. Maybe you can start with a very excellent design skill with one software. I know when we are in the school project, you have to work with a project like end to end. But like when you start your job, you're very good at one perspective and you have some knowledge about the other stage, it's fine. And also be honest. I think one
Yeah.
of the strengths of myself is I be very honest. When they ask me question, they ask me, how do you think about user testing? I said, I know the logic, like after that, like the prototyping, like I learned from school. So I need to like validate my design from a very simple one. But when they ask me, can you give me like the real example? I just be honest. All I did is school project. I know the approach, but I never do the user testing from a real product. but this is my thinking process and execution way I think is correct. And I ask them question. I might be not right. I'm looking forward to work with you. Then I'm pretty sure I can improve and help.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's such a great point to touch on, because this was also like a challenge for me when I was like looking for jobs, because the expectations of designers, it's you need 5 years, maybe more years of experience in your first job. And how are you going to get that if you're not going to be given the chance to demonstrate yourself? So the other way to do that is to do something like what you did, learn a new tool, figure it out, and show that you can build something and show that initiative to learn.
If you don't have a real project, to be a volunteer, to help some organization to design a website or web page is your real work. You will learn a lot from that. Because how a designer learning is not just from how the teachers teach you or other designer tell you, it's learn from how your client and customer tell you. So I think before that, I told you I give myself a homework of designing a website. My friend is selling hair product. I said, why don't I start to help you to design a web page that you can promote your hair? So that is my first real project. Really have someone to use it. And I have my client, even he did not pay me money.
Exactly. It's all part of the process. And I think that shows your initiative, because you were trying to build up your skills, you were trying to build up for your portfolio, and you saw this opportunity and you grabbed it without having any expectations apart from, okay, I'm going to skill up, I'm going to learn from this.
Yeah.
And I think that's a mindset. And I think that's an important mindset that people as designers, you need to have, whether you're trying to break into this field or you're trying to grow in this field. You need to have that growth mindset. And I think you've demonstrated that. You've mentioned that you are also a very hard worker, Cathy, and I have seen that. Cathy, I actually want you to talk to me a little bit more about, when you're talking about hard work, what are those things that you do that takes you like further in terms of your work and in terms of growth?
At the beginning, you are not sure if a lot, but like after that, like after 3 years, you know what you're good at. So those what you're good at is from your hard work. Like what I mean hard work is I will keep asking feedback from different people and I digested those feedback and make a plan. The plan is a execution plan, can improve my design skill. After 3 years, after 4 years, the very tangible thing is like how to use the software, how to create an animation, how to create a like interaction thing. Another level is like how to think more strategically and how to lead a project and how to improve the communication. So that is the second challenge. I need to put a lot of hard work to improve it. So my approach, as I just mentioned, is talk to different people. So I will keep questioning myself and talk to people to understand my problem and make a plan for myself. Yeah. And I've been working with you, Pavi, like unfortunately, like not a long time, but like I think like I asked you a lot of feedback as well at that time.
I've seen like from time and time again how frequently and how often you ask for feedback. And I've also observed how you receive that feedback. There's two parts to it, right? It's also giving feedback, which you do, and it's also receiving. And receiving feedback can be challenging because you might be so tied to your work, but you've removed yourself from that. And when you're taking feedback, you're taking it with that growth mindset. Did you train yourself to receive feedback that way, or was that something that you've been doing for a long time?
I think I grow by experience. First stage is I very okay to receive design specific feedback and refine the design. That's the most like basic thing. The second one is receiving the feedback of communications. That part is more challenge because people wouldn't tell you. The people always say, hey, it's good job. Your design is good. But eventually when they come back is I still have some confusion. Or in another meeting, when they talk about your design, you see, oh, that is not exactly what I'm trying to deliver. So then I see, oh, there's something wrong out there. I thought and they thought we communicate well and understand each other, but actually it's not. Oh, maybe I need to be more precise with my design communication.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, because communication is a very important skill that we tend to underrate. Your verbal communication, your written communication, because now we're communicating on social tools or you're communicating through email. So
Yeah.
you need to brush up on these skills and continue to also improve. And like you said, asking for feedback is a great way to do that from people whom you might aspire to be.
Specific when you are a ESL, like I am a ESL. So communication is not just the language, it's also the material and the whole thinking of your storytelling, of your design. Because we know like design is not just the final result, it's also you need to present your thinking process of your design. So how I'm doing is whenever I present to a big group, I will do multiples of dry one, bringing my deck to talk to different people. Do you understand what I'm saying? Anything doesn't make sense to you? And at the same time, before you present your final idea, talk to different group of people, like people. It's not just designer, like product owner, developer, to get the feedback ahead. So that is also like very helpful. Just never fear to reach out to different people. I think that's what I did.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you did. And I think that's another aspect to your job as a designer is don't be afraid to
Reach out to
reach
people.
out to a friend and ask them to take a look at your presentation. We have to do the same thing when we're building out our prototypes, and storytelling is an important aspect to when you're sharing your designs with stakeholders. They need to understand how you got to that step. So sharing it across with different people, what do you have to lose? We're all learning here. Yeah, Cathy, I wanted to end off with asking if there's anything that people want to take away from this chat. What would you like that to be?
So when you get your first job, you don't necessarily to know everything. You are not necessarily be perfect at everything when you start to find a job. So that's the first takeaway. And like present and be confident to present your strength when you're doing an interview. Instead of only digging into the design specific skill set, communication and strategy planning is very important. And for the ESL designer, never afraid to have some grammar mistake. It's more important you can speak out and help the other people to understand your story with some help of the visual.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I'll probably add like a third point to that, which is also like seeking out feedback at any point, at any time. Even if you think that you might not need it, just reach out to a
Yeah,
coworker, like someone that you directly work with, or your lead, your mentor, whoever that might be.
yeah. Like I feel myself at the beginning is might have some scare of asking for feedback because like I will say, hey, would I show my witness? Would other people, oh no, just keep asking the dumb question. So when you ask question is also a way of like communication. So when something you are not quite sure, I'm pretty sure in the room other people is not quite sure as well. So never be fear to asking. That is like always helped me to grow.
I think that's like a fantastic point to end on. If people want to reach out to you, Cathy, where can they go?
Oh, they can email to me and I can share some link to you and
Sure.
the website as well, my portfolio.
Sure. Yeah, I'll make sure to share those links here.
Sure.
And thank you so much, Cathy, for your time and for your advice and your life story. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you. It's fun.